Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. All right guys, what an insane day in the market today. One of the most insane days that we haven't seen since probably since COVID. Um, a crazy amount of profits was made today. Traders, only 10% of traders were read in the community, and we were done in the first 1 hour. We were done with the trades. That fake news, we were too fast to catch the news, buy the rumors, sell the news. It was just an explosive day for us. So we're going to recap all that. Before we recap, let's do a quick introduction to anybody who's new to me, new to my Twitter accounts, new to our Twitter X accounts, my YouTube, or new to our community. All these recaps and all these teachings are from any setups that I share in the community, or I share on my previous YouTube videos, or anything I share on Twitter with you guys. We trade a repeatable system called Ripster EMA Cloud System that thousands of traders use across the world to trade consistently. We trade repeatable setups and strategies. System is how you trade, setup is what you trade. We make a game plan every morning. As you see in the front, I make a live game plan in my community half an hour before the market open. We have our news plays, we have our index stocks, we have our upgrades and downgrades, and we make an initial game plan based upon a support level and a resistance pivot, and then we make a game plan. I highlight any of the plays which I think are important to focus on, and everybody in the community takes this game plan, and under my guidance they make the trades for today, trying to make a profitable trade, keeping winners big, losers small. In addition to that, we also share something called day 2 day 3 strategy. This is a repeatable strategy that I did a free webinar on Twitter as well. This is one of the strategy that I invented. Today, this setups had great setups, great plays for us. APP, RH, Micron, CVNA were some of the top winners for us on the day 2, day 3 strategy. In addition to that, we also share levels for the SPY QQQ ETFs, all the major, most liquid names in the market. Magnificent 7, SPY, QQQ, Apple, Microsoft, all those names. We provide the guidance how to play these levels using the EMA Cloud System. When in a trend market, these levels work pretty good, but it also helps you to identify if there's any chop. We also trade crypto stocks in the community. Coin, MSTR, CLSK, Mara, and Bitcoin levels are provided to the traders in the community, so anybody who's interested in trading the crypto stocks can focus on that. Additionally, we also trade futures in the community, and we will talk about these futures as well today. And we provide these levels to everyone in the pre-market. You can pause the screen and you can see how these levels worked out today. There's a lot of breakouts today that happen on that big squeeze news. So we'll discuss all that. We also trade low floats. We have our low float game plan. We have IPOs. We have a low float channel. We have multiple tools in the community. Our tools are worth $500, $600 per month, which are free in the community, that we provide the traders in the community to use those tools. We have multiple option scanners, 4 or 5 option scanners. We have stock scanner in the community. Then we have breaking news alerts, voice alerts, and then we have halt alerts. We have bookmap. Many tools we provide, so our community is a one-stop shop for any professional trader who's looking to become a professional trader. We are not an alert or signal service. We make traders consistent and successful for their life, and self-dependent traders trading with this system which has saved thousands of lives. I'm usually on a voice first few hours of the market open, guiding the traders through the market, any trades I'm taking or I'm not taking, but guiding the traders through the game plan. I will show you my timestamped guidance. I'm also on the voice, so I cannot really show you that. I'm on voice. I have a live screen of all the setups we are playing. So that being said, let's start with a recap for today. So let's start with looking at the charts here on the daily charts. Let's start with looking at a chart for. So let's start with looking at SPY daily chart, right? So I made a bunch of videos last week. Go back, look at it, how we were trading. So I covered a lot of in last week's videos. If you did not watch it, must watch it. I promise you will become an expert trader to grow your account with the bearish setup, the short setup is not much more different. But rather, I will definitely do a webinar to cover the short setups as well as the earnings seasons coming up. So we'll definitely do a big webinar there as well. So what was happening today? So over the weekend, more bad news, bearish news. SPY had last week was just sitting on this support that it broke down of today, this morning. SPY was gapping down. It was really gapping down. At this point, we think about, is the market pricing in? Where will market bounce? But you don't just look at that, right? So you also look at VIX, what VIX is doing. So it looks like market bounced from a support that was there. It was there from January 24, right? So you see the support resistance is not a myth. It's around, if you look here, the lows on was 482s, and today was the lows was around 481.80s, right? So you see that there's always a level. There's always a level. The support resistance is not a myth. There's always levels of support and resistance that are provided by the market. So anyways, let's see what was our plan today. Let's go to the VIX. Let's see here. So if you look at the VIX was really gapping up today. It gapped up to $60. The plan, what was the plan? The plan today on the market was follow VIX strategy. Key levels on VIX 4750. Break of 4750 will give some relief bounces. Cautious on the market if VIX is over 50. Watch the 3450 clouds. Amateur plus 10 AM concepts. Use those concepts and use SPY 500 level. That was it. VIX. Under VIX, we long it. Under 50, 47, we long the market. Over 50, 50, and 47, we short the market. So that was the plan. So what was happening? It was a pretty simple plan. Let's look at here. Let's see how we started the day. So as soon as the market opened, let's go here. Let's look at these charts here. If I want to show you what SPY was doing, let's see here. I might need a bigger chart here to show you guys. Okay, let's look here on the SPY. So we're looking at the SPY this morning. This is a 10-minute chart. We're not going to go to a smaller time frame. This is by the way, SPY traded 300% of its average true range today. Average true range. So anyways, as soon as the first candle opened, maybe I can go to 3-minute chart and I can show you that. So as soon as the first candle opened on the market, we show a bearish trend. So there was no signal to long. This is an amateur move, 10 to 12 to 15 minutes. It's an amateur move. So I told everybody to short the amateur move. So the amateur move you short right away at 432s. You short it 488s. Flush to 486, 485s, 481.80s, right? So you see that within our 10 minutes of our short, we flushed $6, $7, $8. Right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? So that means, let's say if you had a 489 put. So let's look here. Let's go to 490s, right? At the end of the day, it didn't do anything, but let's see here. So if you want to look at 490 puts, let me set it up here and show you guys. So let's go here. So let's see here. So you see these were our 490 puts. So 490 puts right from the open, they went from $7, $8 to the $11, right? Because the volatility is so much, they don't move. They're so priced so much. They are priced so much because of the volatility. More the volatility, more the options, the price. So that's why I told traders to make sure to trade leverage ETFs today, right? I mean, you could trade options. I mean, we can look at 480 puts. You could take it from $3 to $6, but still for a $6, $7, $8 SPY move, the options are only moving what? Options are only moving 60, 70, 80%. In other environment, they would have moved 500%. So that's the volatility. That's why I was saying, try trade leverage ETFs, or do not market order the options. So anyways, there was definitely a trade there on that short and amateur moves. Our target was the pre-market lows on SPY, and we hit that pre-market lows. So that means we start covering there. So that's not when the fun started, right? Those were our morning short trades. We did some setups. And when we reclaimed the pre-market lows, this is called a concept of pre-market lows. So I said, so this is a concept of the pre-market low reclaim. So I said back over the pre-market lows, be covering now. Okay, so whenever the pre-market low is reclaimed, that is a bullish signal, means you time to get out of your shorts. And as soon as we pushed over the 512s, I told everybody close the shorts. So we closed the shorts. So that's fine. You can play those 512 calls too. Most of the traders in my community who know my teachings, they're already playing those 512 calls. Then came our 10 a.m. flag breakout, right? So that was, you see this candle, right? Let's go here at the 3-minute time frame. So that I can show you guys, you see this. So this was our 10 a.m. flag breakout long. That's when I told the traders 10 a.m. flag breakout long. So everybody in the community was the long on the 10 a.m. flag breakout. Now at that time, our news bot alerted us about the news in the pausing of the tariffs, of course, which was later we found out that it was just a rumor. But let's see here. So why were we were long already, and I will show you the individual names which we were long on there. But let's see here. Let's go back and let's look at where was that news that we heard on the pause. So the news actually came, we got the news way before. You see that news came at 10:14, and I told the market to trade the 10 a.m. longs, flag break longs, before even the news came out. So when news came out, I told the traders, hold it. And our target, is, as always, is of course the MTF targets. And the SPY ripped from 497. Remember, in the pre-market, I talked about the 500 level. Remember, 500 level. Use the SPY 500 level. So that becomes another long 500 breakout. I did say market will fill the gap, and of course we filled way more than gap, right? We literally went to yesterday's opening price. So SPY ripped from 498, 500 all the way to 523. I haven't seen that kind of candle move in a long time. So let's see what happened. Okay, let's look at 500 calls. Let's say if you were trading SPY, what happened to them. So the 500 calls literally went from, since the 10 a.m. flag breakout, literally went from $5 all the way to $25, right? 500% gains there, right there. And I'll show you how the traders made crazy profits today there on that. And it was not just SPY, it was QQQs, same thing, flag break. This was your flag break. This is our 10 a.m. setup. It's a repeatable setup. If you watch my videos, I teach these setups every day. And I tweeted about that 10 a.m. trend time. 10 a.m. trend time. Be covering your shorts. 10 a.m. trend time. So the 10 a.m. trend time became bullish. You long that bullish and you hold it for the big push over there. And you don't have to trade these. You can trade leverage ETFs. You can trade SPXL, right? SPXL, of course, is a little expensive now. High price stock, not for small accounts, but still, even 100 shares, you could have made, $1,000 there. And you could take a look at TQQQ. So let's see here, leverage ETFs, TQQQ. And not only that, every stock in the index ripped. We'll look at the individual names, right? Apple, from the 512 calls. So let's look at Apple. So Apple was a 512 calls at this level, and it pushed from that 512s all the way to the MTF clouds. You see that? Right into the MTF clouds. Same was for SPY. SPY was, let's see here, SPY right into the MTF clouds. You see where the market topped, right? Right into the MTF clouds. So that was the push. That was the pump, and crazy money, right? Crazy. SPX calls were a lot of our traders were already long in the community. Tape was long on SPX, which literally went from, I think, like 1,000 or something. We can take a look at some of those SPX calls that went crazy today on that push. So these are the opportunities. This comes from this 512, this on SPX, a little different on the clouds, but you can see that the push on SPX, if you want to look at here, we can take a look at SPX. Let's say we're going to look at 50-20 calls maybe. So let's take a look on those. So if you see, what are these? So these are 50-20 calls, right? Or if those are too much, let's look at 50-50 calls, right? So something far away. So look at the 50-50 calls. They were trading at $30. Or you can, these are lottos. They went to 202s, And then there was, let's see here if I can find some far lotos here, show you the guys example of the move. So you can see this loto, right? It went from $20 to $90, like $2,000 into almost $20,000. So that was the move, like 1,000%. This was a crazy, crazy, crazy move on the markets, but we were ready, right? So we were ready. So you can see how the traders were done for the day. They were done for the day. QQQ 240% done for the day, done for the day. The traders had a huge day in the community. Why? Not because I'm alerting them the setups, right? Awesome, because we trade the repeatable systems. I literally scream all day on Twitter, on YouTube recaps to trade these 10 name setups. And I'm showing you my timestamped guidance there where we cover the shorts right before the rip. I told it's a flag breakout long. So that, the luck favors who works for themselves, right? It's easy to say we got lucky. Yes, we did get lucky with the fake news pump, but we were ready. We were positioned. Why were we green, big green, and then red only 10%? Thousands of traders in the community because we follow the repeatable system. Not only that, I told the traders on the voice that watch out. If Trump says this is fake news, it's going to come all the way back. All the way back. And literally, that's what happened. And I did tell the traders, you can short it. You can short it. If you usually do not short against the trend, it's a D- short. But you can risk a little lotto because right when the news came, it's a fake news. Everything dumped. I literally told the traders right when we were rejecting MTFs that you can short it. And from that setup, it came all the way. So you make the money way up, you make the money way down. Right, so and after that, there's nothing to do in the community. I told the traders, some traders in the community, covered up their entire 6 months worth of trades, right? So it was amazing, right? Because the key here is, we stay calm, we do not get excited. This is part of what we do every day. But you see this was the setup, and this was where we were long, and that's what we hit into the MTF clouds. That was the beauty of today's amazing moves. If you missed it, don't worry, market is not going anywhere. We'll get our opportunity tomorrow. Be ready. Make sure you watch my recaps. You want to join the community, feel free to join, but don't come for the alerts. Man, you can be like those traders who are, getting consistent and profitable every day. So you can see that we also got the alert on the fake news as well on the White House. But before that, we got the news when we were trading high up here that it's a fake news, and then it ripped down. All right, so now we're going to look at our individual names today. What were our individual setups that we really killed it in the community? So let's start taking a look here. All right, so let's look at the APP. So APP, let's go to our game plan here. It's very important to watch our game plan every day, whatever you're trading. So let's look at APP here. So APP was our number one day to day 3 setup. Number one day to day 3 setup. You can see that support level and 208 and 211. So when APP was showing a strength, you see APP was right at the open. APP was bullish while the market was tanking, but APP was bullish. I was interested in APP because of the 200 psychological level. Because of that 200 psychological level is of interest to me because psychological level always acts as a big support and a resistance level that can help the market, So the 200 psychological level was very important. When I saw the strength, I told the traders, we already had it on a plan, number one day to day 3 setup. I told the traders APP is holding even in the bearish market. Right? So I told them you can long it as per the plan, but do not size too big until, the market bounces. And when the market bounces, you can scale in. And that's why the long confirmed. And then I gave 225 next target. I gave the 225 next target even before we had that crazy news. And then we got the lucky with the crazy news, and APP ran all the way to $250, guys. $253. So you see that we were already in the trade because we had a planning done. That was at least a $40 per share profit. Even if you had 100 shares, let's say even then you made $4,000 and you risked what? $500, less than that. Options were tough. They were pretty illiquid there, but definitely there's money that you could be made on the options. But you need to be advanced trader who knows what he's doing. APP options went from $6. They were like $6 all the way to $24. So that's why that was an easy trade. Nothing to here's a timestamp guidance. I showed you the pre-market planning. No BS, no hindsight. Everything right in front of you. Let's go to the next one. All right. So the next one we're going to really look at is Lily. So let's look at what was Lily doing. So Lily, initially we were short. Why was that? Let's go to our game plan. So Lilly game plan was pretty simple. Trump administration dropping Medicare opacity drug coverage. Trade versus 700. Cautious of the 512 call. That means you short it versus 700. That's fine. Short it right away. 700. And from 700, it dipped to 677, right? It dipped. It gives you decent amount of that dip. And once it pushed over that 512, I told everybody that close it. And it's a long, 700 long now. Big resistance, 710. So 700 becomes a long. And then Lily, as soon as the news came out, I told everybody Lily will push to 750 now. And Lily pushed to 750. And that was another long trade. You see how we were short and our system gave us a long right here. And from there on, Lily continued to push. So let's look at Tesla. Tesla was same story in the morning. At the open first 10 minutes, it was a short. Let's look here. So it was a short versus 225. The target was the pre-market lows. You can see that that's where the pre-market lows was, right? So the plan on the Tesla was the same. That if the market was heavy, we short it, and you see that Tesla flushed from that from the starting by 945, 950 to touch 215. So it was a decent amount of trade to be made. And once it pushed over the clouds right here, I told everybody close the short. See, we're closing the short when our system tells us. We just don't trade blindly short. We change as per when our system says it, right? We change as per the system. So you can see that the Tesla also pushed the 512 Ripster clouds, and then it pushed towards the MTF clouds. So many things stopped on the MTF clouds today. Tesla as well. So that's our system. A lot of traders were long on Tesla on that 512 calls, and they really did really good on. All right, let's look at some other setups as well today. Let's look at DLTR. So DLTR also was showing one of the relative strengths at the open, 68.69, and there was a more shout out by the traders in the community who called out DLTR. RGV was on top of it. So Fernando called it, and then RGV. It was a nice trade from the 512 calls, 3450s. It was a very strong. From the MTF cloud breakout to the MTF breakout and push higher. You see that it was over the clouds. It was even stronger before the market bounced. So that was a nice trade there as well. So just recapping some of the other plays, NVIDIA as well. When the market turns bullish, NVIDIA also turned bullish at the 512 clouds. So it became a 512 long there. And then our ghost board came. He saw a huge amount of flow coming in on NVIDIA calls and before the market ripped. And then at the 10 a.m., and even NVIDIA broke the flag and it pushed higher, 94.99. NVIDIA actually, pushed much higher even before that news came through. Unlike other names, semiconductors have been really weak, but definitely you can see the 10 a.m. push here on NVIDIA. Some other setups which were really good in the community, there was CVNA. That was another one of our day 2, day 3 setups. It was CVNA was one of the top 5 day 2, day 3 setups. Even that one kind of ripped over the 512 clouds. The reason I have these names on my watch list every day, because these names are so strong, like they have such a big ATR. They give you good return, risk reward when they start to bounce. So that was day 2 on CVNA. All right, let's look at Hood. So Hood was also pretty strong right at the open. Let's go back and see our game plan watch list here. So the plan was hood was, let's see here, where we go. No go under 30, call versus 30 if the market bounces. So once hood pushed and held 30, it becomes a long. I said 512 calls, watch pullback as well. So you see this was a Ripster 512 calls. It was all about 512 calls today, guys, right at the open. And then it became 30 for 50 calls. And even that pushed higher when the news broke out. If you were already in, good for you. So let's look at Micron. So Micron, we have been shorting for 2-3 days. Today, this morning, the short did not work. It broke down, but didn't fade too much. And then it swiped right back up. Then it became a long, right? It turned bullish, 512s, you get out of the short, and at the 10 a.m., even MU became a long, right? So right here at 10 a.m., and then MU pushed from 66 to 72 bucks. So that was a profit to be made as well, because once the market turned bullish at the 512s, everything turned bullish, guys. So that's how the cloud system tells you where we are turning bullish, where we need to get out of our shorts. And you see that if you got out of the short, we were short didn't work. Short is a loser. But you see that the big move that Micron gave us. I watch Micron, pretty high watch in the coming days for any more bounces. We'll see what market gives us tomorrow. So there was another one which was one of our top day 2, day 3 list, which was Restoration Hardware. We've been shorting it for many days in a row, but today it was bullish. It was long, and it was on our day 2, day 3, right? Watch all the Vietnam names. It was the second name on our list. Micron was the third name. So you see how our day 1, day 2, day 3, these were the solid names. I put the high priority names on the top. And even that Restoration Hardware with 156, stops, it pushed higher into 174s. There were some other setups today in the community when the China news came in that China is going to do some retaliation, or Trump said that he's going to add more tariffs to China, right? And at that time, Baba break, Baidu broke, and all those setups, they broke down. And it was actually Baba which broke down much better than Baidu. And you can see that this was the Baba short right from the clouds breaks. And when the news comes out, combine the news with the clouds and you can make some decent profits there. Starbucks short was also a loser this morning because the news came out and it kind of squeezed pretty fast. Again, you see that amateur move and you're waiting to hit it, but sometimes you need to be fast when even before the news, it gives you 512s here, so you get out of the Starbucks short right there. So that was also on our game plan this morning, and Starbucks was one of the losers. So that was it, guys. So as you see that most of our traders, on that big rip, we were long, and you see that most of the traders killed it there on the long side with that news, right? We stay on the top of the news. Jared was on SMCI. Slaughter was long as well. So it was a really good day. So let's see what tomorrow brings. Will be fun. Very good day in the community today. So hopefully we can get some better trend rather than today pop and drop. That was not really too much fun, frankly. I always tell traders, do not give up your morning gains, but still a lot of traders tried to trade later in the day and gave up some of those gains. All right, guys, thank you. Take care. See ya.